Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the WCW Saturday Night Review Series for the February 4th, 1995 edition of the WCW Saturday Night Series. We open with the Nasty Boys here, who obviously are your main tag team, babyface tag team at the time, in an enhancement match. Obviously, they don't do a whole heck of a lot in the ring, but they do have a lot of charisma. Knobs and Sags certainly are, the punch kick style, so to speak, and the Knobs sends the guy into the turnbuckle shoulder first, works over the arm a little bit, um, body slammed by Sags and Knobs basically embroiled in a series of matches with the Harlem Heat at the time, which is good for the Harlem Heat in the sense that they get an advantage there. And obviously, the tag off leads to the power slam and top rope elbow combination by the Nasty Boys. Nasty Boys promise that come Super Brawl, they are going to end Scary Sherry, which I don't know if that was trademarked at the time. I don't think the term was trademarked, but it might have been. And also end Harlem Heat, and they are not impressed with Harlem Heat by any stretch of the imagination. William Regal is out next in a enhancement match of the time. Regal in early 95, not particularly as important as he was in 93, 94. Takes him down to a bunch of European uppercuts, punches and kicks. The kicks and punches look stiffer, which is cool. Inverted Regal stretch, almost like an STF type maneuver, a little bit more aggressive than average. Regal manages to get the victory there. Ends up teaming with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, aka Paul Levesque, in the interim here in 95, right before he leaves. That alliance hasn't really been made terribly clear yet. Paul Roma here in the next enhancement match. Not exactly something to write home about, but Roma at this point doing more singles work, kind of walked away from the tag team ranks in late 94 or so. Paul Orndorff going more to the backstage role. Hard shots and a couple of backbreakers and the almost a top rope splash elbow by Roma. Roma leaping forward and getting a victory. He ends up leaving WCW soon after this, I believe after the next pay-per-view, matter of fact, over the required loss to Alex Wright, which isn't good for him, but might be good for WCW fans who don't particularly care for his work. Anyway, we go to another enhancement talent match, which is all WCW Saturday Night is. Maybe one good match out of the show. Maybe two at this point in 94, 95. Anyway, Vader ends up going 2-on-1 with two enhancement talents. Vader weeks away from facing off against Hulk Hogan at Super Brawl. Vader hits a choke slam and a power bomb on one of the enhancement talents, stacks him up, and Harley Race, who is pretty sure that things are going in a positive direction. Vader is the U.S. champion. That part seems to be really forgotten between that 4 to 6 weeks up until Super Brawl, because obviously the heavyweight championship means more. They go back to the challenge of Vader of Hulk Hogan at Starrcade, and Hogan looks a little disheveled, needless to say. Randy Savage is here doing Slim Jim commercials, among other things, and also talking about his family, talking about wanting to be at his best. Sting and Savage kind of getting into it here, but also a singles match. Sting defeating Avalanche with the heel turn of Bubba Rogers at the time, who ends up being Big Bubba again soon hereafter. Sting very frustrated by that turn. Sting and Savage still partners and allies over the next little while, but that kind of fizzles a little bit because Sting's still trying to find where he belongs in the babyface hierarchy, which is usually third or fourth, I think, behind certainly Hogan, Savage, and maybe Jim Duggan, depending on the day, who actually is up in an enhancement challenge match here. Duggan manages to brawl around a little bit, takes the guy to the outside, punch kick, and diving clothesline, and we're done. Also, we go to Johnny B. Bad in an enhancement talent match up next here. Takes him over with a bunch of, and I believe B. Bad is still your television champion here. Um, Hits him with the kiss that don't miss and a couple of diving attempts at sunset flips and the like. Bad pretty much at this point. Pretty solid. One of the more solid enhancement or guys that you don't need to worry about when you put him in there with anybody. Maybe one of the best workers, pure workers for match quality in WCW at the time. Blacktop Bully comes out with Bunkhouse Buck. And that team, of course, managed by Colonel Parker, Randy Savage here, and actually it's Slater, Buck, and the Blacktop Bully against Savage, Sting, and Dustin Rhodes. Good rub for Dustin Rhodes at the time. Obviously, when this was taped, there was no plan to get rid of him because the issues hadn't happened yet. Match breaks down into a pretty aggressive brawl for the first couple of minutes. Lots of punch kick. Slater and Dustin Rhodes pair off for a little bit here. And they do basic Southern wrestling spots, turn around for the atomic drop and the like. Nothing terribly, you know, astute or anything that needs to be written home about, but at the same time, Sting goes with the cutoff and manages to go after Bunkhouse Buck pretty aggressively. Side Russian leg sweep by Dick Slater along the way here. And there's the toss out, and ultimately it's a pretty hard deal. Savage comes in, goes nuts on Slater. Match is not terribly wonderful to write home about, but the babyfaces do eventually get the win, much to the delight of the fans at the arena. Vader and Hogan square off at the Clash. Hogan cannot get rid of or knock Vader down very aggressively, and they kind of hype this. This is probably, as we close the show, probably one of Hogan's biggest challenges ever in WCW. Hogan takes a couple shots at New York, saying no one cares, basically implying that no one cares about what happens up there anymore. But then we close the program on that note. So until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.